Hey guys, welcome to the clubhouse. I'm Billy Jackson, and today's review is going to be on The Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 6. I have to admit, when I first watched this episode, it was early in the morning, it just came on, and honestly, I didn't like it. And I don't think it's because of the episode itself. I think it was because I was kind of in and out of sleep and groggy. And the last two episodes before this really kind of had me on a, I don't know how to explain it. Like, man, the first three episodes were great, and then the last two were just okay. So I was already going into this thinking that this was going to be just okay. So I kind of had that mindset when I first watched it. Now, that being said, the second time I watched it, I was more awake, I was more aware of what's going on, and really paying attention more to everything in the episode. And I have to tell you, I freaking loved this episode. It was awesome. Now, it's not as good as the first three, in my opinion, but it's definitely better than the last two. So, that being said, that's where it falls kind of in my ranking, right now, that it was a really good episode. And how about Clancy Brown? He is one of my favorite actors. He's one of my favorite voice actors. He's voiced a lot of characters in animated Star Wars and a lot of animated shows altogether. I mean, he is a force in the voice acting community, and just to see him back and being one of those aliens that's actually from the Cantina in A New Hope. I can't remember the species name, but I recognized it as soon as I saw him. As the devil-looking type character, because I always thought that character was interesting in the Cantina scene. It's like, gosh, I wish I knew who that was. So we get this guy, and I think his name's Berg in this episode. But I love Clancy Brown in anything he does. Everything he's done has just been pure gold, and in this was no different. I thought he was wonderful in this. And how about Bill Burr? The comedian. I never thought I'd see him and think, this is a serious acting role, but he nailed it, I thought. He had a couple of quips, throughout the episode that was kind of funny. But I thought he did great. And the only problem I really had with the episode, and this is a very small nitpick, is the Twi'lek, or Twi'lek, whatever you want to call the species. I thought she was kind of over the top, overacting the whole and hissing stuff. I thought that was, just way over the top. But that's just a very small nitpick. I loved everything else about this episode. And one of my favorite things about the episode was that we got to see the Mandalorian actually whipping some butt. I mean, he has whipped some butt in previous episodes, but I kind of felt like they were, he was getting his ass handed to him sorry about the language, but, I just really felt like he was just getting his butt whooped, and then coming back and, making a stand and whipping ass himself. But in this episode, it just seemed like he just straight was, knocking out the droids and then took out each one of the other bounty hunters when they betrayed him. And the way he did it, it was different for every single one. And how about that kind of horror element when he was coming up behind Bill Burr's character? I think Mayfield was his name. But coming up behind him and the lights were strobing out, and every time they were on, he was behind them, and then it was off, then it flipped back on, he wasn't behind them, and then it flipped off, and then flipped back on, he was behind them, closer. I love that. Give me more horror in Star Wars, because it's a perfect place for it. But also, another great scene was at the very end when he gets in his ship, he gets the money and he flies off, and, they were like, kill him, and they start raising um, that weaponry, what do they call it? It's I'm losing my mind now. It's one of those ships. It's a gunner ship or something like that, that was going to come after him and take him out. And then the X-Wings just come out of nowhere, and you have that X-Wing, engine sound, that just reminds me and calls me back to the original Star Wars, and even the way they approached that docking bay or whatever it is, whatever it's called, and their wings open up. It kind of just reminded me of the X-Wings approaching the Death Star in the first film, and their wings opening up and they were getting ready to attack. and then, you know, it just shows them just nailing it, and Mando just pew, just takes off. So I thought that was awesome. And another great thing, before I wrap this up, Baby Yoda. Friggin' Jedi Baby Yoda, like faking out the droids, you know, and then the droid, and he gets back into his thing, and I don't know if y'all noticed, but they had to press a button to get the door to open. And, you know, and he got out and went back into it when the droid was following him, and that door was shut. So he had to use some force power to shut that door. And I thought, you know, without being shown that, I knew that. And I thought that was really cool. They didn't have to tell me or show me anything. It was just implied that he shut the door. And then when the guy was getting ready to blast him, Zero, I think is the droid's name, was getting ready to blast him, and then Mando comes up and just shoots him, and then he looks at his hand like, did I do that? I thought that was really cool. And the first time I saw it, I thought it was really cheesy. But as I watched the episode and was really taking it all in, it really built up for that. You know, how he's faking out the droid and everything. And then there at the end, he's holding up his hand like he was going to block the blaster blast. And I thought that was what was going to happen. It was going to like deflect off his hand and kill the droid. But Mando came up behind him and just did it for him. So thought that was really cool. He unscrews a little ball and gives it to him, and he goes, I told you that was a bad idea, you know. But anyway, love the episode. I think we're back on track. So hopefully the last two episodes were kind of behind us, and those are considered kind of filler, where now we're getting into some more serious stuff. It was a good ensemble cast. Great story, and this was actually the longest episode of the season so far. So I really enjoyed it. So I hope you guys did too. If you did, let me know in the comments below. Remember to like my videos and subscribe to my channel. And as always, make sure you make yourself happy every day. And the only way to do that is to remember the only thing stopping you is you stopping. Bam!